Hi there, greetings and salutations. My name is Jake Corey. This chair feels low. I feel short today.
Nope, looks good to me.
When it comes to things being low, you immediately recognize them as comfortable, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
By the way, I had a Saturday night at like 3 o'clock in the morning, so I guess Sunday morning technically. I woke up in the middle of the night with a horrific leg cramp.
Yeah.
Like a Charlie horse in my calf.
Yeah.
And it's still super sore.
Just getting old.
When's the last time you had a Charlie horse?
Don't you have gout now, too?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well, I think the medication for the gout led to the Charlie horse.
Yeah, maybe.
But you know what? Here's the thing, Derek. You can probably rightly, fairly, I get it, mock and chuckle at my aging all you want, but I got news for you. I'm right in front of you.
I'm not.
Matter of time.
Yeah, I'm not making fun or anything. I mean, it's one of the facts of life. It's just, it's hard for me to relate because here I am still basically in my physical and sexual prime, and I don't really have to deal with any of the things that you have to deal with for the most part.
Matter of time.
Okay.
You know what rhymes with prime?
What's that?
Time, which is undefeated. It's a matter of time. Undefeated, the Colts are not. They're now 0-1 after, and by the way, thank you for viewing. This is Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network, presented by Bailey & Wood, which, of course, your home mortgage experts. Derek, website is?
BAWFG.com.
Right.
855-350-HOME and Indiana branch
Bailey
locations.
& Wood Financial
everywhere.
Group. BAWFG.
Throughout the state.
BAWFG. Bailey & Wood Financial Group.com, right?
That's right.
Okay. And the phone number?
855-350-HOME. See, I've committed it to memory now.
Beautiful golf bag behind Derek. We'll get to that as well over the course of the show. That's from Broadmoor Country Club. We're happy to have them on board. But let's begin with the Colts, Derek. I didn't think, to be honest with you, I know they lost. They're 0-1. They lost a divisional game against Jacksonville. But I think we know this year has not been about wins and losses so much as just getting a blueprint and figuring out where you are. I thought, to be honest with you, and this is me saying this, there were a lot of reasons to be optimistic.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I know they didn't win, and I know that it's frustrating when you have a game right there that you should win or that you can win. That's probably a better way of saying it. And Jacksonville showed the maturity. But Derek, if you look at the Jags in that game, Trevor Lawrence threw a couple picks and was able to bounce back and win necessary. They were able to make plays to win the game, right? That's year 3 for him. Year 1, he had a clown show because he had Urban Meyer, had no business being an NFL coach, but and yet Trevor Lawrence, I think part of the greatness of Trevor Lawrence shows in the fact that he was able to rebound from and not be stunted by that disastrous first year of everything going on with the Jaguars franchise. But my point being, when you have a franchise quarterback, it's really year 3 before you feel like, indeed, you have the advantage going into games because of that quarterback. And Anthony Richardson, I mean, it's one game, right? This is a 3-year experiment for the most part, or project for the most part. And I thought there were a lot of things that showed why he is the guy that you're going to try to do that with.
Could have been better, could have been worse. I think what's interesting about this Colts year is that this is the first time really in this town that we've had the approach where I don't want to say losses are okay, but you're evaluating games more than on just the outcome. For so long in Indianapolis, we've evaluated the Colts strictly on did they win or did they lose, right? Because your expectation is they're going to win the division and they're going to be competitive and hopefully make the playoffs and then hopefully make some noise in the playoffs. And this is the first time probably since, I don't know, I guess you could go back to 2019 with Luck's surprise retirement. Certainly 2017 when you saw Scott Tolzien out there for the first couple of weeks. You kind of knew what you were signing up for the first couple of, I guess, snaps before he was immediately replaced by Jacoby Brissett. So I think it's a little bit of a different mentality than what we're used to seeing from the Colts. I thought offensively they really had the training wheels on for Anthony Richardson, and they were I think even at times I think they were overly cautious with him. If there's one real complaint that I would have with the game plan, it's not mixing in more quarterback runs. I understand he's the franchise now, and you don't want to get him hurt. And he did have that scary incident late in the game where you thought, oh, boy, and looked like he was injured. Looks like everything's going to be okay there. Maybe you don't want to open him up to that, but that's really where he can be a weapon. And with your running game being as bad as it was essentially with a stable of RB3s to practice squad level players.
Third string running backs.
Because that's really what it is. I mean, Deion Jackson is your third or fourth guy in an ideal situation, not your first guy.
Right.
And the fumbling is something that he needs. We'll get into the running game and all that, but with the running game being as anemic as it was, I thought they really could have changed it up a little bit more with Richardson in his legs, and they chose not to do that.
The other thing, Richardson, one of the selling points about Anthony Richardson, and one of the things I think that really, aside from the running game, is he's got a strong arm. There's no doubt about it. As a matter of fact, he's probably better a long-range passer than he is at this point intermediate passer. But, and this goes back to your point, Derek, about the running game, it's difficult to get that going. You need something to keep defenses honest. Otherwise, the defenses just drop back and like, okay, beat us this, come at us. And the Colts were not able to get that going for him. But I thought overall, I mean, one of the real positives for Indianapolis, I thought on Sunday, is a guy like DeForest Buckner. I tip my cap to DeForest Buckner because here's a guy that Stephon Gilmore, for example, I don't know if Stephon Gilmore necessarily directly requested it, but wanted to be with a contender, and so they traded him, right? Buckner, on the other hand, here's a guy that is a great player, has been a great player in the league, gets traded to the Colts, and then after he gets traded there, the Colts say, you know what, we're completely reshuffling the deck and restarting our timeline right as this guy's probably right in his or beginning the decline of his prime and his peak. And yet he plays at a high level. He shows up in camp. He seems to be a team leader and has done what's asked of him and continues to play all in as opposed to sulking. And I thought he was great on Sunday. I thought he made some good plays, obviously, and I just think that focus, that attention, and that maturity is to be commended.
Yeah, he's their best player. A lot of people said during the contract dispute that Jonathan Taylor is the Colts. But Jonathan Taylor is not the Colts' best player. DeForest Buckner is the Colts' best player.
Yeah.
Pound for pound. He is their best player. He's their most consistent player. He's been doing it since day one. And I think that's one area of the defense that you have to be really encouraged by is the front seven. And I thought the secondary held up pretty well, but a lot of that had to do with the front seven being so good. EJ Speed, Zaire Franklin, having Shaq Leonard back
Zaire
out there.
Franklin continues to just be a dude, right?
And then Grover Stewart is a dude.
And I mean that in a good way.
Grover Stewart's a dude. Kwity Paye, I think, flashed a little bit, and hopefully we still see it with Dio. I think that's an area where the Colts are already ready in a way and still even have more room for growth.
When you say flashed a little bit, you don't mean mopery, right?
What's mopery? Like lifting your shirt up?
No. Revenge of the Nerds?
I don't know what that is, man.
Revenge of the Nerds?
I mean, I know what that is. I don't know what mopey is. I don't know.
Mopery.
Okay. I don't know what that is.
That's the when Revenge of the Nerds, they get arrested. They end up in jail. And they ask what another guy did, and they said he was arrested for mopery. They said, what's mopery? And they said, exposing yourself to a blind man. Mopery. Flashing.
Somebody else that I wanted to highlight, who I think
have you not seen Revenge of the Nerds?
Unlike Buckner, had
wonderful.
Sort of a sneaky good day.
You would like it. You would find it inspiring.
Quiet first half, second half really kind of lit it up. Michael Pittman Jr. That play where he scored a touchdown, that's exactly what the Colts need him to do.
Can you name either of the two nerds?
No. Stop. I've never seen it. I don't know what it is. Stop. We're talking about the Colts.
You know what it is. You
podcast.
said you know what it is.
We'll save all the BS for later in the show. Okay?
The BS.
We'll save that for later.
Wow.
Like when we're chuckling around and all that. No, like it's Colt season now, so it's like it's not that the summertime's kind of when we do this, like haha, like let's show our legs and chest hair and stuff like that. Like this is analysis. We're talking Colts issues. This is a big deal here on the show. Now,
which one of us shows chest hair and legs?
Let's get serious. You asked me to. You secretly like it.
Okay, sure.
That's what I think it is. You're secretly a little bit jealous, a little bit jelly over there of it. So,
can we go back to the Colts, please?
Yeah, Michael Pittman Jr. That play, should have been like a short. It was a screen pass, basically on second and forever. Should have probably been 8, 9, 10 yards, and he took it 35.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever going to be a keep you up at night Tyreek Hill level wide receiver playmaker. I don't think he has that in his bag. But I think if Michael Pittman Jr. can occasionally make a big play like that and keep up his usual consistent, reliable production, that's what makes him worth the contract. You know, fans are so focused on, and we did this with T.Y. Hilton, fans are so focused on, well, he's not a number one. I don't care. I don't need Michael Pittman Jr. to necessarily be a number one. I just need him to impact the game.
Derek, on this team, he is.
Yeah, but he can still impact the game with how he played on Sunday, I thought, in the second half.
Here's the thing. The difference between Michael Pittman Jr. and Jonathan Taylor and the necessity and contract extension and value, etc., is one thing.
Positional value?
Timing.
Oh, okay.
The timing, positional value is same thing, same answer.
Yeah.
For the Colts, when you have a young quarterback that you are trying to groom and you reset your timeline to a 3-year window, running back shelf life is 3 years. I mean, there are exceptions, but you get what I'm saying. So all of a sudden, when they decided to move on from – if Carson Wentz was still the quarterback of the Colts and everything had worked out and he was in this would be his 3rd year as a Colt, if that were the case and Carson Wentz had gotten healthy and he was playing at the level that you'd seen early in his career in Philly and he was entering his prime, then Jonathan Taylor and an extension for Jonathan Taylor is an absolute must and would have been done 3 weeks ago. But the second that they said we're starting over and rebuilding the house, we're pouring a new foundation, then all of a sudden the timeline of a running back became irrelevant and it shifted to we need a receiver that this quarterback can get comfortable with. And it worked out in timing. The timing for Michael Pittman Jr. is he's about to get paid, and the timing for Jonathan Taylor is he's about to get lovely parting gifts and a couple of cans of air freshener.
Let me ask you a question, because this obviously popped up on Sunday. Do they win that game with Jonathan Taylor?
Probably.
See, I still think no.
I mean,
obviously they'd be closer.
Correct.
Right? They'd be closer. I still think no, because the Jaguars knew what they were going to do. They sold out for the run, and they said, we know that you're not taking the training wheels off here and taking a bunch of deep shots with Anthony Richardson.
Correct. Here's the bottom line. Are the Colts a more competitive team with Jonathan Taylor on the field?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
No question. Right? Would the Colts have had a better chance of winning that game on Sunday, and does that game look different if they're able to run the football? 100%. Does having Jonathan Taylor make them more competitive? Yes. Is that of concern to the Colts right now?
Yeah.
A little bit.
I hear you.
But if I'm Jonathan Taylor's agent, where I'm picking up the phone and I'm making a phone call immediately, if I'm Jonathan Taylor and what I am posting immediately is this, and that is, does the presence of Jonathan Taylor take defensive pressure off Anthony Richardson? Yes. But how much is that worth?
Agents, did somebody like your tweet? Did Jonathan Taylor's agent like one of your tweets? I thought I saw that.
What was my tweet?
I thought you had a tweet about Jonathan Taylor that one of the agents liked. Was that somebody else?
I thought it was Kevin Bowen.
Oh, was it Kevin? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry. I was trying to think. I was like, I should have known, because somebody said.
Yeah, you know how all that goes.
Somebody
right?
said a prominent host on 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan, tweeted. I don't remember who it was, and I immediately thought of you because you're my best friend. But clearly the more prominent one's Kevin, so maybe it was Kevin.
Yes, I believe it was Kevin had something.
About Jonathan Taylor's absence. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
that's right, because you were at the IndyCar race, so that kind of wiped out your afternoon.
Correct.
For the most part. Yeah, I forgot about that.
IndyCar finale. Congratulations, Alex Palou, season champion.
Yeah.
Scott Dixon wins the race. But for the Colts and the Jags, I think in the end it kind of turned out to be exactly what we thought.
Yeah,
it was
I think
right?
so. I just think if you haven't already, and some of you might be watching this and saying, "Oh, you guys are just Indy homers, like you're Ballard defenders." Look, we're none of those things. We're just realistic Colts evaluators,
right?
And I think realistically speaking, a clear, unanimous, I think, division favorite. That's not a game in week 1 that you're expecting to win even at home. All AFC South games, I think Colts fans in the back of their mind expect to win because this team dominated the division for so long, but the cat's out of the bag when it comes to that now. Like that's been over for a while now. What's interesting to me, Jake, is that now with what we saw and the encouraging things that we saw in week 1, I do think that this next game is a really important bellwether for how the rest of the season can potentially go.
Right.
I think we'd all agree that the Colts are going to be better in the second half than they are in the first half. But if you are going to find opportunities for victory in the first half of this season, I think Houston's one you have to. I think the Texans stink.
Yeah,
I don't think the Colts are great, but I think the Texans stink.
I mean, who are their weapons?
Yeah, if we're doing like, the Price is Right games, well, I don't know is there a game where there are two things kind of competing at the same time? I'm thinking of like Cliffhanger. I think the Colts and their rebuild plan are like here, and I think the Texans are like here.
Now you need to do that straight on, Derek.
Sorry. I think the Colts. Wait, no, that actually hurt my wrist a little bit. I think the walk like an Egyptian. There we go. This cam. We'll do this cam. That's good. That makes my arms look bigger. I think the Colts are about here, and the Texans are about here.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah. When it comes to where they are rebuild-wise, because I think the Colts roster is
what are you doing?
Slightly better than where the Texans
are. You
are.
constipated?
I'm just making a.
But why do you bite that lip thing?
I'm not even biting my lip. I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm just making a visual aid, a visual guide to show where I think the two teams are.
Okay.
That's all that it is. Uh-huh. They have a better roster than Houston does right now. They have like players like Buckner and Franklin and people that are established veterans and all of that. It's not that the Texans don't have anyone. It's just that I think the Colts have more of that than what Houston has.
Texans, though, are example of what the Colts don't want to be, which is a team that's been in rebuild mode for like 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, what are they doing?
They kind of look like, remember right before things went south for Deshaun Watson off the field, they look like they were about to ascend and really – they look like where Jacksonville is now, where they were about to take over this division.
So let me ask you this.
Tank.
Back to Jacksonville, and I only ask this because of the division, right? When Peyton Manning entered the league, once the Colts figured it out with Peyton Manning and Peyton Manning figured out the league, it was over for 10 years in the division, right?
Pretty much. Tennessee had some good teams in there.
Is Jackson, and I don't know, I'm going to ask your opinion here because I'm biased, admittedly. I will admit to being biased because I watched Trevor Lawrence all through college and thought he was a wonderful player and by all account a good guy. Has he turned the corner where you're starting to see in Jacksonville that, yes, in fact, he is going to be the guy?
Trevor Lawrence is going to be a superstar. If he's not one now, he will be. I am supremely confident in that. Aren't you?
I am, but I'm saying, but I'm biased.
That doesn't mean that the Jaguars are going to win 9 out of 10 AFC South crowns, though. I think the days of Peyton and Brady and all of that, I think those days are mostly over. The new NFL, you have a lot of parity, and you have a lot of weird stuff happen. Look at Week 1, Jake. That was a miserable performance from Josh Allen in Buffalo last night. That was a miserable performance from Joe Burrow and Cincinnati.
Boy, how about Cleveland's defense?
Yeah, I mean, but those are established star quarterbacks and franchises now that you view as contenders, and they can have really bad days. I mean, I can't think of many days when the true Colts prime, so 03 through 09, I can't think of many days, and I guess Patriots too, where Tom Brady or Peyton Manning consistently had that happen to them, where other teams in the division especially. I mean, Tom Brady and the Patriots stuffed the Jets and the Dolphins and those teams, and Manning did it to the Texans and the Jaguars and the Titans. They stuffed them into a trash can every single week when they played each other, and I think that level of division dominance I don't think we're going to see again.
Right. I mean, I would agree.
Sorry, long-winded answer to your question about Trevor Lawrence, but I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a multiple-time MVP, someday a Super Bowl champion. Like, I think the world of him.
Yeah,
I did through all of his struggles.
I know there were people. I talked to a couple people that he misses a lot of easy throws, and I'm not sold on his footwork. And I'm like, look, man, I watched him every play in college. The guy's got it in him for sure.
And now you give him Calvin Ridley and Zay Jones.
He's got some weapons.
Yeah, it's a good team. Jacksonville's a good team. I don't know if they're a Super Bowl team, but they're certainly a playoff team.
Quite frankly, Derek, Jacksonville is a team that would be a Super Bowl contender immediately if they were in the NFC.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But in the AFC.
You know what? I mean, God, with the AFC landscape, week 1 is national overreaction week, but what a mess.
Oh, yeah,
God,
for
Pittsburgh, that was I can't remember an NFL week where you had more truly miserable performances. Giants, Steelers, Bills, Bengals. They were awful. All 4 of those teams were awful.
You know what we have not yet mentioned?
Who's that?
The biggest storyline in the NFL.
Oh, yeah. A certain New York quarterback and a certain injury.
I would assume.
Isn't it the Jets thing ever?
We are recording this. I'm under the assumption here, okay? I mean, the Jets essentially confirmed after Monday Night Football that Aaron Rodgers ruptured his Achilles.
Yeah.
They basically came out and said he ruptured his Achilles. That would have to be
good. You don't usually hear it's not.
You know
good.
what's interesting? On the radio show that I'm on now in the midday,
Aquarium Company
on Friday,
107.5 The Fan.
Thank you.
Listen to it on the iHeartRadio app.
On Friday, they said, "Hey, we're going to do a thing where we predict the award winners for each area of the NFL season." One of those was Comeback Player of the Year. And I was about to put down who I thought was going to win Comeback Player of the Year, and then I thought, well, wait a minute. They've already given this to DeMar Hamlin.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously. But you knew who I was about to put down?
Rodgers?
No.
Because he struggled so much last year?
No.
No, tell me.
I'm like, you know what? Comeback Player of the Year is going to be Zach Wilson.
Oh, wow.
Because I thought Aaron Rodgers is going to get hurt at some point. And Zach Wilson's going to have to come in and play. And that roster is pretty good. And Garrett Wilson's
very good.
Emerging.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll bet you Zach Wilson comes in. He's grown up a little bit and has a good year.
The only problem is Zach Wilson stinks.
Why does it say BS?
I don't know.
Under there?
Was Zach Wilson the BS?
Who knows?
Oh, BS, like they have to send us cryptic messages. We have JD and Greg and Vince over there. I still don't know what it is. Come on. Oh, come on, Jake, like Zach Wilson. They're skewering your Zach Wilson.
There we go. Well, okay. I'm telling you, if the Jets contend and he shows competence, he's going to be in that mix.
No, well, yeah, I guess, yeah. If he
they won last night without him,
he stinks.
Without Rodgers.
They won because Wilson took a short interception away and turned it into a touchdown. I mean, I think Zach Wilson is going to go down as one of the worst quarterback picks of this century. Like, I don't think he can play dead.
And I think supposedly his work ethic's a big question.
Like, yeah, I don't think he's any good at all. Like, somebody tweeted a list last night, like, who do the Jets get? Like, Wentz or all the, Flacco, all these terrible ones. And I'm like, honestly, at this point, though, I would just stick with Wilson than take Matt Ryan. Wouldn't you? Why would
Matt Ryan's in the TV booth, isn't he?
Yeah, and why would I put Matt Ryan out there behind that? That line's still a little bit shaky, but that defense is freaking loaded, and they've got good offensive.
Well, Garrett Wilson's
too.
Garrett Wilson's a player,
emerging star.
Yeah. Can we get to the sandwich next? Because I'm hungry.
Yeah, actually, we can do that right now.
Oh, really? Okay, good.
What I have here
thanks for the plate.
Is the Hog Island.
So good.
So this is their Italian sando at Hoagies and Hops, hoagiesandhops.com, 42nd and Boulevard. And the hoagie-eating contest, still spots available, Jake. If you want one, I just registered. Still available. Saturday afternoon, I think it's at 2:30. Benefits Hoosier Vets. You can sign up by emailing Christina with a K, at hoagiesandhops.com, or going to the shop, 42nd and Boulevard in Midtown. But I'm going to do a test run.
A test run?
A test run.
Of what?
For the hoagie-eating contest.
What are you doing?
So this is a mini. This is a 9-inch. This is half of a 9-inch, so it's 4.5 inches. But I want to practice getting it basically down my gullet.
Well,
Saturday.
I don't know.
So you want to time me?
Be careful.
You want to time me? You have your phone? Okay.
Hold on.
Come on, I'm trying to lock in here.
What is the goal here?
Here we go.
What are we doing? What are you doing?
I'm gonna try to eat this in a minute. Think I can do that? It's just a test run. I'm trying to pace myself.
All right, ready?
Yep.
Go. Derek's going under the Joey Chestnut, like multiple bite and then chew strategy. His eyes are like silver dollars. Easy, easy.
Really?
What do we got here? We got about. You're struggling because you're only a third of the way in, and we're at 26 seconds. Darren King is going to partake in the competition, Hoagies and Hops. Of course, over up Boulevard, fabulous. You walk in, it's right on the corner. It does kind of look like Philadelphia when you walk in. The sandwiches are even better than what you get in Philly, though. And I understand why people would want to enter the contest just to be able to enjoy the fabulous sandwiches. He's maybe halfway through, and we're at 50 seconds.
Warm.
Huh?
Warm.
Derek's now rubbing his belly. What are you doing here?
Drink on my gut.
Okay, well, you're over a minute, so we're good. Can't do it.
I'm over a minute? Fine. Well. That's fine. I need a little more practice.
I'd like to apologize to Hoagies and Hops, who've been fabulous. They trusted in Derek and I that we could get the word out about their product, which is the best that you're going to get. And when you represent the best, you want to be represented by the best. So far in their partnership with this program, what they've gotten is Derek dropping an F-bomb and then looking at the camera a minute after eating a sandwich to no avail with meat hanging down through his beard, and then doing the Kobayashi shimmy.
It's a really good sandwich.
Yeah, I know it is, but I mean, can you have a little decency, please?
I'm a competitor.
We have other sponsors, Derek, that want to. We need to get to their message as well. We can't have you over here.
I'm trying to compete.
Choking out.
The dude that won, he's won I think the last 3 years. His name's Korn. He ate. You know, it's a giant. I should have looked up what the actual size is. It's like I think it's an 18-inch. I think it's an 18-inch. Yeah, 18-inch Hog Island. He ate it in like 3.5 minutes. Like, that's a lot of meats and cheeses and shaved onion and L&T and bread. It's a lot. But it's a very, very good sandwich. So if you want to check it out, the hoagie-eating contest, Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock. I think it starts, I think we're supposed to report. Competitors report at 2, and I think it's at 2:30.
All right.
42nd and Boulevard. Also, thanks to our friends at Chili Water Tap Room. I'm embarrassed to say this. I was in a rush this morning, and I grabbed the sandwiches, and I forgot the beer. I forgot our brew of the week.
Nice job. You're so focused.
I even wore a shirt to match the can.
You were so focused on the competition?
Because the beer, well, yeah, that's part of it. It's just mentally I had to get there. The beer is the Luthier Lager, which on the can, if you go into Chili Water Tap Room, 42nd and Boulevard, right next to Hoagies and Hops, you'll see it. It's got the guitar. It looks like an acoustic guitar can. And there's a great story around it, too, and I feel terrible. I left the beers at home. But they're delicious beers at Chili Water Brewing Tap Room. And Alexis and her crew are awesome. And you still owe me a beer at Chili Water. Not owe me a beer, like we'll do separate checks, but
the sandwich is
like
fabulous.
owe me a buddy gathering.
Okay.
A buddy beer. That's what we'll call it. Chili Water Tap Room.
I'll do it
at
because it's
42nd
a
and
Chili
Boulevard.
Water.
I know, it's a great spot. And these last days of summer, too, when it's like 75
What
in
a
the
great
evening,
name, too.
it's perfect.
Chili Water. Great
Yeah.
name.
Great name. Hoagies and Hops is a great name, too. We come back on the show. More NFL talk. Oh, I forgot to do our Hero of the Week. It's Zaire Franklin. Zaire Franklin's the Hero of the Week. 18 tackles, heads-up play to basically instruct Buck Defo, hey, that's a live ball. Go get it. Buckner gets it, runs it into the end zone.
He's a really solid player and a customer of Hoagies and Hops, by the way.
Indeed, a Philadelphia area native. He is a guy who the great Colts teams used to unearth. You know, for as much praise as Bill Polian got for, you know, Dwight Freeney and Manning and Edge, like those guys were highly sought after, highly touted prospects, first-round level players. I think where the Colts really, and where Polian kind of made his Hall of Fame career, is finding Antoine Bethea, is finding Robert Mathis, is finding Gary Brackett as UDFA, Cato June. The Colts had a lot of guys, Pierre Garçon. Colts had a lot of guys come in through the years who were late-round draft picks or UDFAs.
Undrafted free agent.
Who you didn't really know anything about, and they emerged not only into contributors and starters, but frontline players.
Right.
And at this point, Jake, Zaire Franklin's he's not a cute story anymore. He is one of the Colts' best players.
He is.
He's one of the Colts' best players.
And he's just, he is always in the right spot at the right time.
And a great leader for them, too.
Yeah.
I mean, he has been 20 times what you could have even possibly hoped for him to be.
He should be. I mean, DeForest Buckner is a star, but Zaire Franklin should be people's, like, there should be Zaire Franklin jerseys all over Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah. I mean, like, nobody, Bobby Okereke was a really nice player, and you don't think about him at all because you've got Franklin. EJ Speed's been a great story as well, another
Speed's
guy that they kind of unearthed. And then you hope that Shaquille Leonard can kind of get back to close to where he used to be.
EJ Speed has speed, so in that vein, if you were an NFL player, what would your last name be?
Probably Strength.
Okay.
Derek Strength. The best name, and I don't know if he actually played. I think he played in the NFL. Notre Dame had a linebacker at the
Derek
peak
Slow
of the
Eater.
whole.
Tied in Derek Slow Eater.
Who wrote that?
That's right.
Who wrote that? Okay.
That's perfect.
Well, first we'll get that in post, but we'll talk about that with our crew. I think they're taking a little bit too much liberty with the cry on there. 3, 2, 1. Notre Dame had a linebacker during the peak of the Holtz era named, I think, Mike Stonebreaker. And I always thought that was a really sweet name. Pat Angerer is a great name for a linebacker.
It's a good name.
But any linebacker name is a great name. College football, Indiana and Purdue get into the win column. Is Notre Dame actually being somewhat overlooked? We could talk about that. Also, I think you're just going to have a real topsy-turvy season when it comes to the playoff. I think you're going to have a lot of fresh blood in there, which is probably a good thing.
That's good
for college football. But we'll discuss all that, plus plenty more NFL to get to as we continue querying Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. It's Bailey and Wood presents Corey and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network. All the meat and cheeses have descended down my esophagus and into my, what is this, lower
belly, your gut?
Intestine? Is that lower intestine?
You can just say stomach.
And then there will be fluids in there that break down the prosciutto and the provolone and all the deliciousness of the Italian sando, the Hog Island at Hoagies and Hops, and it will give me energy and boost and build muscle mass.
What are you talking about?
I'm explaining the science of what everybody just got to see of me shoving that Hog Island down my gullet.
They're going to watch me finish mine because it's fabulous.
It is.
The Italian meat is
really good.
Great.
Let's talk a little college football. We'll get back into the NFL here in a little bit. I guess we started Indiana last week, so maybe we'll start Purdue. An important win for them, and such a weird afternoon, right? The game, they start it, and then it gets delayed 6 hours or whatever it was. Just kind of a surreal afternoon, but I actually think the way that they won it, to go up 17-0, young new coach, new team, to go up 17-0 and then have Vatek clap right back and then still hold it out at the end and make plays down the stretch to win. I think that's super beneficial in a road game. I know it's not the usual road game that you get in Blacksburg, but a road game for Purdue. I thought Hudson Card was really good. And defensively,
he's been good so far.
And defensively, they were much better than they were against Fresno State. So I think a good win and an important win for Purdue as they still try to eke out bowl eligibility. And I think this was a game that they had to have because then suddenly you beat Syracuse and you're 2-1. And I think you could have lived with 2-1 going into the Big Ten schedule.
On a side note, what happened to Virginia Tech?
Yeah, good question.
I mean, it's been a slow decline, I guess, but I mean, there was a time where they were, that was a top.
Yeah, Beamer ball. Well, you
had
Frank Beamer, and then you hired Justin Fuentes, and it looked decent early on, and then it just never really got going. I'm not going to pretend to have followed the situation closely, but I have one of the NBA authors that I follow that writes the books about like Kobe and Magic and guys like that, and Jordan. I think his name is Ronald Lazenby. I don't know what his tie is to Virginia Tech, but anytime I see Virginia Tech stuff, he's retweeting it into my feed. So I've seen a little bit of what's happened there. But they're basically just rebuilding the whole thing back up again.
Now, you mentioned Notre Dame, and I think they're pretty darn good. Top 10 good, for sure. I thought that was a really big win at North Carolina State because North Carolina State, look, is NC State, Michigan, or Ohio State? No, but they're a legitimate – I mean, I've watched – enough football in the ACC because I'm a Clemson fan to know NC State's a good program. They're not great, but they're Michigan State, Iowa. I mean, they're solid, and they have some grit about them, so to speak. And they hung around with Notre Dame, and then Notre Dame pulls away late in that game. Notre Dame has good quarterbacking play, obviously, with a guy who knows about North Carolina State because he played at Wake. And I think Notre Dame's going to be right in the mix, Derek. The one thing that I think can hurt Notre Dame is I do think Clemson is down. And Notre Dame needs Clemson to be up. Because I think Notre Dame goes into Clemson and wins. But they need, when you look at Notre Dame's schedule, they got Ohio State, they've got Clemson, and they've got USC. Those are the three big ones, right?
At Duke suddenly becomes kind of a tricky game, maybe.
Yeah, Duke's not terrible. Yeah. Although that game, when Clemson lost to Duke, they shot themselves in the foot like three times.
Yeah.
But those games, of those three, let's say, the reality is that Notre Dame probably gets beat in one of those. Either Ohio State or USC beats them, and maybe even both. And that's not a knock. I mean, those are two top five teams.
They could still lose at Clemson, Jake, just because Clemson's down.
But what I'm saying is if you lose, you can afford to lose to both Ohio State and USC if Clemson is normal Clemson and you beat them. So you get two of those three, you're good to go. But if Clemson stubs their toe another two times, which is entirely possible, and Notre Dame beats them, now all of a sudden they got 4 losses, then that win becomes far less important for them, far less impressive for them.
In that scenario, 10-2, I don't think is going to get it done for Notre Dame. I think they would
have.
They would have to go 11-1.
Like it hurt Notre Dame when Clemson lost to Duke. That hurt Notre Dame.
Yeah, I won't disagree with that. I don't view them as a top 5 team. I think they're very solidly in the top 10. And it's because of Hartman. Hartman raises their floor because they have good players. It's just they've always been very limited by their quarterback. And now to take the field and more often than not have the advantage at quarterback, that's something that Notre Dame, even with Ian Book, that's something that Notre Dame didn't have.
Right.
I think Notre Dame's biggest problem was they'd go into these big games against Alabama and teams like that, and you're facing Bryce Young and Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence with Ian Book and Tyler Buckner and, against C.J. Stroud. I mean, give me a break.
Right.
That's way too big of a gap to have at quarterback. But it'll be interesting to see. I mean, NC State's offense is what it always is. NC State can barely score 20 points, but that defense is good. And for Notre Dame to put up 500 yards and 45 points, it's pretty impressive.
Okay, now Indiana, Purdue. We talked about Purdue. How about Indiana?
Yeah, I think the story
I don't know that we still know anything about Indiana yet, right?
The story is that they finally settled on a quarterback and naming Taven Jackson the quarterback, and I think that's the right call. I think he has more upside than Sorsby. If they want to mix in this option, I think that makes sense. But I think this Louisville game, Jake, is going to be a real bellwether for the rest of their season because if they're competitive or if they can beat Louisville, I think Louisville isn't great, but Louisville's probably better than Michigan State, than Illinois, than Rutgers, than some of these other teams, maybe even better than Purdue.
Who?
Rutger, maybe even better than Purdue.
Did you just slip up and give them the
I
S?
know,
That's the first time in 10 years.
I'm sorry. So if Indiana could find a way to win this game, I think that's good. If Indiana could even just hang around, that would show me a lot. I'm not expecting them to win. I think they're a 9-10-point dog. But if they get their doors blown off by Louisville, then we're going to have some problems, I think, coming up this season.
Look, with Indiana, I've always said if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. They decided to finally go with a quarterback, so that's good. And he played well against Indiana State, but you just don't know because how good is Indiana State?
And I think their defense, Indiana State stinks, but I think their defense is good. If their offense can just be competent, I think Indiana can get bowl eligible. I really do.
They have a couple of decent receivers.
But that's asking a lot. I think that's asking a lot for a young quarterback. And then Alabama just getting basically out-athleted, which you've rarely seen them do against Texas. I mean, they were just outplayed in that game. Clemson.
They got out-quarterbacked, too.
Not looking great. Ohio State has looked very so far to start this season. I think you're seeing, what Florida State has done. Look out for, some of these other teams that we're not even really talking about, like Tennessee or, Michigan has had Michigan doesn't play anybody in their non-league. They've had kind of a quiet start. I think you're going to see some, I guess Michigan wouldn't be new blood because they just played in the playoff last year, but I think you're going to see some fun stuff down the stretch here with teams contending for the playoff. I don't think, Jake, that Alabama gets the benefit of the doubt if they lose again because of how lopsided that loss was. I think sometimes you can be like, somebody blocked a kick or something.
But it's week 2, though.
Ran it back for a touchdown.
If they put it together and they go on a typical Alabama run, but you're right, though. They lose a game late in the year.
And how good is the league? I mean, clearly the gap has narrowed.
When I was flying to Monterey for the IndyCar race, Auburn was playing at Cal. Mm-hmm. The entire plane was Auburn people.
Oh, wow.
From Denver to...
How cool. And they barely won.
I was going to say, did Auburn beat them?
Yeah. They ended up winning late.
Okay.
And I think, who was the other team? Didn't Mississippi State play a road game? I thought Miss State played somebody that was a Power 5 team that, it was, the SEC, against Power, the Hog Island's coming back up. There we go. All right. Got it. All right. Force it back down. All right. 3, 2, 1. We can get that in post. 3, 2, 1. The SEC only had 3 Power 5 wins, I think.
The most disgusting human being in terms of the noises that your body makes. I have a cat now. Mm-hmm. It makes less noise than you do.
Yeah.
I mean, when he purrs.
They've done studies about this. If there's something about me eating or digesting that bothers you, it's actually you have the problem. Your brain's not right. It's wired wrong.
There's no way that's possible. There are people that like listening to you sit there and burp and grind and gargle and regurgitate, and I mean,
a lot of people like me grinding.
Okay, sure, not your teeth.
A lot of people like that. Mm-hmm. Welcome to Broadmoor Country Club.
Oh, I'm sure they're thrilled based on that segue.
I don't know how to even segue that. I'm sorry. We have all of the Broadmoor swag here. Look at this beautiful club head cover with the Broadmoor
this
logo.
Logo's beautiful, like the blue in it.
Yeah. Lady Victory, Monument Circle, Lucas Oil Stadium sign, Indy skyline, Indy flag, Pacers weird Minecraft logo dealy. Pretty cool.
Derek, as somebody who grew up on the north side of Indianapolis, Broadmoor was the country club that was, ubiquitous just in terms of the culture of what I grew up in. And honestly, for them to be on board, I'm thrilled with it because Broadmoor has always, to me, meant just the upper echelon, the best, right? The best of everything in terms of gorgeous golf course, fabulous people. I'm thrilled to be part of it.
Well, what I like about it is that it's the best of all of that, and it's not in a snooty
I would agree
way.
with that. Totally.
Sometimes you go into some of these country clubs. I'm not going to name names, but and this isn't just Indiana. This is especially in Connecticut. I remember going into a couple of them, and you're like, I don't feel like they're treating me like I belong here, which is probably true. I really didn't belong there. You know what I mean? But still, don't treat me like I don't belong here. You would never get that at Broadmoor.
Correct. To be totally welcoming and open, and at the same time, when you're there, to know that you are, getting a chance to play on absolutely gorgeous, pristine grounds. That's what you want, right?
200-acre Donald Ross designed golf course, tennis, pickleball, pools,
pickleball,
dining.
man.
You can host your next event at Broadmoor Country Club, right in the heart of Midtown.
Pool's beautiful.
Broadmoor with OORCC.com, or call our friend Kara, 317-251-9444.
We need to put the number up there. 251-9444.
Kara, call our girl Kara, and she's going to tell you how you can save major money on membership and initiation fees for 2023 and 2024. In fact, if you mention Query and Schultz, no join fee through December. Broadmoor Country Club. Mention Query and Schultz or ISC Sports Network.
251-9444. I'm telling you. Summertime's going to be back before you know it. You're going to wish you had a pool. Golf season, obviously, now's the time to get on board with that. And then don't forget the coziness of just the dinners and the meals that take place throughout the course of the winter, all in a welcoming environment and beautiful grounds. Broadmoor Country Club.
Love that play.
Beautiful grounds, beautiful people.
Quick hits. Chateau Kitchen's Biter Bowl Bleep. We got a lot still to get to. Don't go anywhere. It's Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
IUPUI basketball is back. Come witness history with head coach Matt Crenshaw inside Indiana Farmers Coliseum and head coach Kate Bruce inside the Jungle as they usher in a new era of Jaguars athletics. Be there for exciting Horizon League and in-state matchups. Affordable fun for the whole family. Full season tickets are now on sale starting as low as $80. Order today at IUPUIJags.com/tickets or call 317-278-2530. Work hard, make noise, have fun. Go Jags.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Welcome back to Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network, presented by, as you just saw, Bailey and Wood. It is time for Love That Play, brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air Conditioning. I love, pardon the pun there. By the way, did you see the Shop Indy has new T-shirts out for the Indy Loves?
No.
It's the tennis. The Indy Loves for the tennis team.
Cool.
It was a professional tennis team in Indianapolis.
I've
at the
never
Indianapolis
heard of that.
Indianapolis Tennis Center's late 70s. A fun fact for you real quick, Derek. Your parents big fans of Elton John, right?
Yes. Huge.
You know the song Philadelphia Freedom?
Yeah, sure.
You know what that's written about?
It's about the Reagan assassination attempt, isn't it?
No.
What's it about then?
You're thinking of the fact that the Reagan assassination attempt took place on the night of Indiana's national title game, which was in Philadelphia.
Okay. See, you asked me so many trivia questions about things that I just have kind of like meshed them all together.
Okay.
So tell me.
The Philadelphia Freedom song from Elton John, many people think it's about because it came out in 76.
Yeah.
So they thought it was about the bicentennial. It actually was a favor that he did for Billie Jean King because she was playing in a professional tennis league for a professional tennis team called the Philadelphia Freedoms.
Oh, wow.
So he wrote the song for her about that tennis team. Same league had the Indianapolis Loves, by the way. Also tennis players when I was at North Central High School, Chris and John Love, of Love Heating and Air. 317-353-2141, love-hvac.com. Jake, did you just mention you went to high school with the guys from Love Heating and Air? I did. I've known them my whole life. They're like family to me, and they treat you like family when you are a customer of Love Heating and Air. That's what you love about it. And they are a family-owned business, 4 generations deep, over 100 years in central Indiana, with fabulous product in terms of keeping your home, whether it be temperature-controlled, climate-controlled, humidity, you name it. They've got it covered. And 24-hour on-call maintenance. 317-353-2141, love-hvac.com. They bring us our favorite play each and every weekend. Derek, your nominee is?
Was a surreal night in New York last night with Aaron Rodgers going out in literally the first series of the game and potentially his career being over. Certainly his season looks like it's over. But to have it cap the way that it was in wild fashion with Xavier Gibson's punt return touchdown, which set off a frenzied celebration, not only for the Jets players, but also in the stands. It was pretty cool.
Oh, for Tracy Wolfson, right?
I did not watch Hard Knocks. I don't watch Hard Knocks. I don't care about the Jets or the Bengals. I barely cared when the Colts were on it. Why do I care about the inner workings of the Cleveland Browns? I don't care. But I understand that other people watch it, and apparently he was one of the central figures on there because he was the UDFA who didn't know if he was going to make the team.
Correct.
So pretty cool to be a UDFA and then in game one.
And when
do
they
that.
let him know that he'd made the team, they said, "We got a feeling you're going to make some plays for us."
And he makes a play right away. So good for him.
And he wins it for him.
Can you name the college?
Great. I love this game.
This is a great NCAA tournament kind of sneaky. They've had some NCAA tournament moments.
Okay. Is it a Division I football
And
program?
a great mascot. I don't think so. I might have to check on that. I think they're FCS.
Have they had other players of note in the NFL?
I have no idea. Probably not. I can look it up real quick. You want me to look it up?
So an NCAA tournament team that's a cool mascot.
A university that you've heard of because of the NCAA tournament, I think.
Old Dominion.
No, but that's a great guess. Old Dominion has had Zach Pascal, and they've had some other NFL players.
Did you know that they had football before this guy?
I mean, I guess I would have assumed maybe that they did, but yeah, no.
How many tournament moments?
I think they've won 2 or 3 NCAA tournament games over the years. They beat one of your Final Four picks a couple of years ago.
Okay, hold on.
It's somebody's name. That's the college.
Stephen F. Austin.
The Lumberjacks.
Nice.
Yeah. Pretty good.
All right.
So, I mean, I did not know Xavier Gibson went there until last night, obviously.
Can you imagine? I mean, there's probably players at Stephen F. Austin that could transfer to lower Big Ten schools just based on the fact that it's in Texas and, you know.
Right. Apparently, Bum Phillips went to
really?
Stephen F. Austin.
Okay.
For whatever it's worth. 353-2141, love-hvac.com. Let's get to our quick hits. Congratulations, Coco Gauff and Novak Djokovic. They are your winners. Probably the first, but certainly not the last for Coco. And what's Djokovic even? 24?
By the way,
Greg
Greg will know this. Give me the name of the gentleman, the young American up-and-comer that Djokovic beat in the semifinals.
Yeah.
Ben Shelton.
Yeah.
He is Ben Shelton's mother.
Okay.
Is one of the Witzkins. So Todd and Rick Witzkin that were great tennis players from Carmel High School. Todd became a professional player. Rick Witzkin played at University of Alabama. They were legendary high school players, probably surpassed only by Rajiv Ram in terms of local players that went
Who
on
won
to tennis
doubles,
prominence.
by the way.
Yeah.
Who won the doubles championship.
That is their nephew.
Oh, wow.
And he is going to be he is potentially a trajectory-changing player for American
She's still here?
men's tennis.
Or
No,
you know,
he
the
grew up
family's still here?
in – no.
No,
grew
not
up in-
him. I meant the aunt.
No. His mother.
Oh, his mom. Okay.
So the Witzkin –
So the nephews were the kids that went to Carmel. And Shelton didn't go to Carmel. Is that what you're saying?
Hey, Derek, follow me here.
Yeah, okay. Hit me with it
We're
again.
going to start. Deep breath.
Okay. My listening comprehension's pretty elite,
Rick and
so-
Todd Witzkin were fabulous players at Carmel High
Yep.
School in the late 80s. I
Okay.
believe Rick graduated in 89, Todd 87.
Okay, cool.
Roughly.
Yep.
Okay. Todd Witzkin went on to become a professional player.
Okay, great.
Rick Witzkin played at University of Alabama.
All right.
Might have had a cup of coffee professionally. They have a sister.
Okay.
She had a young boy named Ben.
Okay, yeah.
And I believe they grew up in Florida.
So the uncles are still here.
No. I don't believe any of them still live in
Okay.
Central Indiana.
So none of the Mitskins or whatever are still here?
Witzkins.
Okay.
Yeah.
So congratulations to the Pitskins for
Okay.
that tie-in when it comes to that. Let me just ask you a question, and maybe this is unfair because my Major League Baseball viewing has gone down. If Matt Olson walked in here right now, would you have any idea who it was?
If he said, I'm Matt Olson, I wouldn't know who it is. I'd ask if he's from Little House on the Prairie.
This poor guy, he hit 2
has
home runs
50
last
home
night.
runs.
He hit
It's
2
like-
home runs last night, by the way, and hit the 50 home run mark. And it's a really cool story. He's an Atlanta native, and he's starring for the Braves. How cool is that?
Right.
When it's
And
a
they're
team that you
good,
grew
too.
up
It's
with.
not like it's...
Yeah. And, you know, he is the first player since... Actually, wait, he's passed Hank Aaron and Eddie Matthews on the single-season home run list.
Correct.
But still, 50 home runs.
Okay, I have a question for you about Atlanta.
Crazy.
Here's my Atlanta question
Okay.
for you. You heard about this woman that had the unfortunate biohazard on the air flight, right?
Yeah, it was a woman that had it? Okay.
So,
I knew someone had one.
so here's my question, Derek. This is a really fascinating question for you.
Okay.
So over the course of the last week or so, the news story came out about an airline where a woman on the airline had a medical emergency. I think most people know what happened.
Yeah, it was evacuation of the bowels, basically.
Correct. So she must have been at the front of the plane and started to go towards the back of the plane and left a trail.
It was a little bit like a lawn sprinkler. Can we discuss this maturely? This was a medical issue.
A lawn sprinkler. Okay.
I'm trying to put it in layman's terms.
So
she's walking up the aisle and
but it wasn't. It was just right down the aisle, though.
I guess you're right.
So it's
yeah,
more like
it
a
wasn't
trailing
spinning, yeah,
hose, right?
Yeah.
But either way, they were 2 hours into the flight from Atlanta to Amsterdam, so they're probably already over the ocean, right? So if you were on the flight and there's the line of waste down the aisle, and I would imagine the scent too.
Oh yeah, it's bad.
But you're 2 hours into the flight, and they're like, "We're going to turn around and go back." So if you leave at noon, you're supposed to land in Barcelona at 6. It's 2:00. You turn around, you go back, you land in Barcelona. Now it's 4. You've been in the air for 4 hours now.
Yeah.
You're back on the ground. They spent 5 hours cleaning the plane. They get everybody back on the plane, including the woman who got back on the plane. Right? You feel for her, right?
Oh, I'd be mortified.
So,
for her. Yeah, it's
but here's the thing.
In all seriousness.
So you went ahead and you were on the plane for 4 hours, 2 hours of which afterwards everything had been done. If you were on the plane and they left it up to a vote, would you have turned around and gone back, or would you have said, you know what, I'm just going to plug through. Let's just go the remaining 2 hours beyond that and go for it.
2 more hours with this stench or 4 more hours with this stench, I would just take the 4.
Right.
Yeah, who cares at that point? But, yeah, in all
You would
seriousness,
think-
I know we're like, hey, poo, funny. It does suck to have something that you can't control happen like that.
It's awful, but
it's brutal.
I would assume also that in 2023, they probably have masks for everybody on the plane, right?
Yeah, I mean, you would think. Yeah.
Mask up and
So maybe that would help. Yeah. But still, sometimes the fumes can just kind of permeate and get up into your nostrils.
Okay.
My wife is a ER nurse and has to deal with like the bedpans and all of that sometimes. But sometimes they have like internal, what are those, colostomy bags or whatever? And she said the smell of it when it hasn't, when it's right out of the innards, before it's been exposed to the air is actually even worse. Final quick hits. Did you see the DraftKings parlay yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Okay. DraftKings had a never forget parlay, which they quickly took down, where you could bet the money line on the Yankees, Jets, and Mets.
Why, Derek? Somebody on Twitter had a question that said, what was your 9/11 sports moment?
Yeah.
Look, I know it's been, and I watched last night every year. I mean, we watched
you watched the documentaries and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have always said the thing about 9/11 that to me is not the most, that's the wrong word, but that always jumps out at me. It was for the most part the first historical event that was archived on digital video. And as a result of that, the quality and the clarity of the video does not diminish at all from one year to the next. When you watch the video of it, it looks as clear as the day that it was recorded and archived. But my hope is that the memory and the emotion of it stays with that same clarity. And we're just over 20 years since, and already, like, you can see with people like that they just have forgotten what that moment was and what that emotion was, and just and to an extent the camaraderie of it as well, but also just the overwhelming despair and sadness and loss.
Yeah.
Clearly some people don't remember.
No, yeah, it's still not something that you take lightly, or I don't even think it's appropriate to joke about. Not that it might not ever be appropriate to joke about, but like, to just kind of be like, hey, what were you doing on 9/11? That's one thing, but to be like, hey, favorite sports moment? Oh, Mike Piazza's homer in 9/11. Okay, it's still a little bit weird.
Well, it wasn't even that. They were saying, the person that was asking the question of what's your 9/11 sports moment meant.
Disastrous sports
yes,
moment?
what was the disastrous moment for your team?
Yeah,
I think it was what was the 9/11 moment in the history of your franchise.
Yeah, no, that can't happen.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. Let's get to something certainly lighter than that. Time for our IUPUI Jags report.
Love it right here.
Ba-ba-ba-ba. All right, I guess I say ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Women's soccer improved to 6-2. Brilliant road win over Dayton. Knocked off the Flyers, who were ranked number 4 in the East Region. Jags masterful performance from Ashton Kudlow. She had a goal, clean sheet, and 5 saves, including stopping a penalty kick. She was in goal, obviously. Stopped a penalty kick in the second half. Freshman Lindsay Castillo netted the game winner for IUPUI in her home state of Ohio, so congratulations to her in the win. On Sunday, women's soccer rallied to beat Lindenwood at home. They extended their winning streak to 3 in a row.
Can we get a font change?
The men's team opened league play, fending off Wright State from the Horizon League. Logan Finnegan propelled the Jags 2 goals in the win, giving IUPUI its first 3 points in conference play. That's a great win for the Jags. The goalkeeper, Lucas Moorfield, recorded a clean sheet.
This little Jaguar is awesome.
Really cool. I bet Boo would like that.
It's awesome.
Snuggle up against it. IUPUI has a number of home games starting this week. Big men's soccer game on Tuesday night against Loyola Chicago. That's at 6 o'clock. Volleyball's back Wednesday in the Jungle versus USI. Men's and women's cross country host the Jaguar Invitational on Friday in Shelbyville. And women's soccer will host Horizon League foe Cleveland State Sunday at Carroll Stadium.
Tickets are available where, Derek?
IUPUIJags.com/tickets. And we are just 2 months away from both the men's and women's basketball home openers.
Here's
November
the reality.
6th.
The reality is this, folks. You know, when I was a kid living in Indianapolis, my dad, we went to a couple of games around the area of smaller colleges because for me, it was like I wanted to see college athletics. And it was more affordable for my dad for us to go to that. It was usually easier in and out. IUPUI, not only are you seeing Division I college athletics, but you're also seeing, for the most part, a lot of student athletes that are from right here in central Indiana. So it's local products for the most part, obviously with other kids that have taken advantage of the fabulous programs of going to college in downtown Indianapolis. But you get that and more when you go and you support your IUPUI Jags.
Bum, 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 bum. IUPUI. Bum, 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 bum. IUPUI. Bum, 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 bum. It's great. Yeah, I really
got the
like
little pause going.
This is my favorite prop that we've ever had.
It is not. It's very soft, too.
We'll come back. Chateau Kitchen's Biter Bowl Bleep, and we'll tie a bow on this thing. Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. I don't know why I'm pointing. Sorry.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Back for a final time, Bailey and Wood presents Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network, and one last time, 855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com for our friends at Bailey and Wood.
For Broadmoor, by the way, 317-251-9444.
Yep.
Right? IUPUI tickets are available at
IUPUIJags.com/tickets.
Right. 317-353-2141 for Love Heating and Air. And Chateau Kitchens, Derek?
ChateauKitchens.com, at Chateau Kitchens on Facebook and Instagram for before and after pictures. We're about to do, and we're moving this well into 2024, but we are about to do phase 2 of the basement. So we're finishing like the desk side, the wet bar kind of side. So I'm going to head up to Chateau Kitchens in their showroom in Carmel to talk to Megan about the design layout of that for probably next spring. That's when we're going to do that.
You are constantly doing stuff.
This is
but with
kinda,
their work, why not,
this
right?
is kind of, and it's beautiful, but this is kind of the last big thing that we're going to do to the house. The house is pretty well set after this.
Time for Biter Bowl, Schultz?
Yep. Here's what we do. I give a statement. Jake and I go back and forth whether we buy it or it's Bowl Bleep, and it's brought to you by our friends at Chateau Kitchens. Statement 1, Jonathan Taylor will play for the Colts in Week 5.
Buy it.
Yeah, me too. He's got no other choice.
Yeah.
He's got no choice. It's either that or get fined.
Yeah.
He'll play. And I think, Jake, you know what? I think his point is getting proven, right?
Correct.
By what you're seeing.
Fair.
So Jonathan Taylor dug in and gave his stance. Whether he said anything publicly or not is irrelevant. I mean, clearly by his actions, we see what his stance is. And the Colts dug in and gave their stance, and we know what their stance is. So at some point, it just becomes, okay, now you got to play.
Yeah.
And I think he will play in week 5. What bothers me about how this situation is being reported is, and even Ian Rappaport said this, Jonathan Taylor's healthy. He's going to play in week 5, so the Colts have 4 weeks to come up with a resolution. No, they don't.
Right. They got like 2 years.
Yeah, Colts don't have to do.
franchise.
Colts don't have to do anything to come up with a resolution. Yeah. They don't have to trade him. They don't have to extend him. They could be like, okay, week 5, you're healthy, great. Get out there.
Yeah. Now that
If you don't, you get fined.
Now that he's come out and said like, well, I'm actually healthy. Well, then he's going to play.
Yeah, he's going to play. So good. I think we're all kind of ready to put this. Even if this is the last year that Jonathan Taylor plays for the Colts, or even if maybe the off chance that he gets traded between now and then, I think people are ready to just be done with this. Right? I was actually glad that we just basically had a full show without really mentioning Taylor a whole heck of a lot. The Jets will still make the playoffs this season. Buy it or bull bleed?
Buy it, because I'm going to say Zach Wilson has a comeback year.
AFC's too good, and Zach Wilson stinks.
AFC is loaded.
Zach Wilson stinks.
The division. Here's the thing: if he was in the South, maybe, but admittedly, they're in the East. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, Zach Wilson's he's just not good, and I don't think you can win like that. I think even if you had like a Jacoby Brissett 2019 level quarterback, I think that roster is probably good enough for a wild card spot, but I don't think he's any good. I mean, Peyton Manning skewered him last night on the Manning cast. Like, usually quarterbacks don't destroy other quarterbacks like that. And for him to be that critical, and this is year 3, right? It's not year 1 for Zach Wilson, and he's got a lot of starts under his belt. Pretty rough go of it there. Final one, Alabama will not make the playoff. Buy it or bull bleed? I'm going to bring up their schedule.
I'm gonna buy it just because there are too many teams out there, and they've already got one in the whole. You know what I mean? I mean, you look at the other teams that would be in the running; they're a step behind them now.
Jake, Florida State feels like a lock, almost. Like I just don't see them getting beat.
Yeah, Florida State's good.
And even if they go 11-1 or if they go 12-1 and win the ACC, I think they're going to be there. So here's Alabama's schedule at South Florida. Really, they're playing a road game at South Florida? It's weird. Ole Miss at home, who's a good team. At Miss State, at A&M, Arkansas at home, Tennessee at home, LSU at home. So your 3 toughest games you get at home.
Right.
At UK, at Auburn. I mean, there's some pitfalls in there. And at Chattanooga, they play an FCS team every year at some point. There's some pitfalls in there. I think a lot of it will depend on how far along Jalen Milroe is, because he's clearly athletic and can make big plays, but he also does a lot of dumb stuff too. And that's sometimes what you get with a young quarterback.
Texas and Florida State got a pretty good jump so far.
Good for Texas. I mean, this is the first game of real consequences that they've won in probably
Georgia.
15 years.
Right.
Yeah, and Georgia as well. Thanks to our great sponsors, Bailey & Wood Financial Group, Chateau Kitchens, Chili Water Brewing, Hoagies and Hops,
IUPUI,
Love Heating and Cooling, Broadmoor Country Club. Anybody else that I missed?
Did you say Love Heating and Air?
I think I got everybody. For Vince.
Said Chateau
for Rick,
Kitchens?
Yep.
Said
for
IUPUI?
JD, yes. For
Said
Jake.
Hoagies and Hops?
I'm Derek. We'll see you at the
Chili
hoagie
Water,
eating contest on Saturday.
Broadmoor.
Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Keep practicing.
IUPUI basketball is back. Come witness history with head coach Matt Crenshaw inside Indiana Farmers Coliseum and head coach Kate Bruce inside the Jungle as they usher in a new era of Jaguars athletics. Be there for exciting Horizon League and in-state matchups. Affordable fun for the whole family. Full season tickets are now on sale starting as low as $80. Order today at IUPUIJags.com/tickets or call 317-278-2530. Work hard, make noise, have fun. Go Jags.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
throw it up for Tillman.
Whoa, my goodness.
122-6-0 for Penn.
What a swim.
Six of them.